My name is Christoph Dulik-Brenzinger from SeaTable, and today we released version 5.1 of SeaTable Server, which is really packed with a lot of cool and new features that I just want to introduce you in this video to you. So stay tuned. Okay, before we begin jumping directly into the software, let me shortly introduce the three main areas I want to talk about in this video. The first one is there are a lot of improvements in the Universal App Builder. I think we can say most of the effort we put into version 5.1 were just made in the Universal App Builder to make it as smooth or as easy as possible to use and to make it really comfortable to use it to build your own custom apps. The second great area of improvements is the big data backend. A lot of stuff was introduced to the big data backend to make it as smooth as possible to use the normal backend and the big data backend side by side, and that you can just don't even feel what kind of backend you're just using. This was basically the target. And the last one is we introduced a new plugin, the so-called table plugin with version 5.1. And in some minutes, I want to quickly show you what kind of purpose this tree plugin might help you, or what you can do with this plugin. So I would say let's quickly jump into the software. I already prepared a demo base where I can show you all the different features I want to show. So let's begin with the Universal App Builder. So let me quickly jump into this demo application I just built. Okay, let me increase here the screen size that you can better see it. Okay, first one I want to start with the new container element. If you're familiar with SeaTable, this was the old container element which allowed to align two different elements side by side. But as you can see, if the height of the two elements that were just arranged in a kind of grid were quite different, then you have this weird spacing, and this was just removed. So now you have really the flexibility to align multiple elements next to each other, and there were so many improvements into this container element. Like, for example, in the images, you can have backgrounds, you can even have transparent backgrounds. Sorry, don't want to click here. So start over here. So you can define background color. You can define what kind of border radius you want to have. You can even make it transparent. We have added a color picker. And what I really like is if you, for example, choose a color and then click to another element, you can see the recently used colors. So it's quite easy to just take over and again the same color, which makes it quite smooth. For sure. Then, for example, you can use the long text editor, which you're all familiar with from the base editor, to style this long text column. You're just adding code or list items, or just pasting images or stuff like that. So this is, from my point of view, a really nice improvement to style your custom pages, what could be kind of dashboard or just a summary of different statistics or stuff like that, or explanations how to use your Universal App. Okay, then let's continue with the statistics parts. I think the work is now finished that we want to harmonize the usage of the statistics all over SeaTable. So that means no matter if you create a statistic inside the Universal App or if you create a statistic here in the base editor, it should always be the same because it relies on the same source code. But no matter, there was quite of improvements inside the statistics. For example, you can now define if you want to allow a so-called drill down. So this, if you enable this feature, this will allows the user to click on any bar or on any line or any point in the statistics, and then you can see what kind of records are the basement for this calculation, and then you can immediately see or click into this. So this is the so-called drill down feature to make it possible to get more information about the origin of this data. Another thing that was introduced is the so-called goal line. So that means you can just say at what kind of value you want to have this so-called goal value. And just imagine you just change it to 300,000 and you just saw that the line just moved up over here. You can also add a label. This is totally sure. And I think this was basically everything about the statistics I wanted to show you. Okay, let's continue with the other table, with the other page types of the Universal App Builder. Let's quickly go to the table. Here are two things I want to mention. First one is, in the past it was not possible to execute button actions inside a table. No matter if what you did, you just clicked on such a button and it was not executed. This is now possible, so everywhere in the Universal App, wherever you click on a button, it's possible to use that. For sure, you can just hide the columns to avoid that the user can use this button, but now button actions are just working inside the Universal App. Next thing is, until version 5.1, it was always possible to export all the data via this export to Excel, and it was quite an often named wish to disable or to remove this export to Excel function, and therefore, the default value is that it's not possible to export to Excel. By default, it's something like this, and then it's just grayed out, and the function is not available to anybody, just to make sure that these data cannot be exported. Okay, so much about the table page. Let's go to the single record page. Here we have also quite some improvements. The first one is now you really can format headers and the values. So that means you can just make the font bigger, you can color the font, you can make it italic or something. No, italic I don't think so, but you can see font size, font weight, text color, alignment, even background color, border or something. So we just improve the stylement options of the different value outputs on the single page quite a lot. So to make it, looks nicer. As again, here you can just click on the button and it's immediately executed, and you can see there's the rating was just changed to 5-star rating. Another thing that we added to the single page is the so-called QR code. The idea behind this is that this QR code can be just printed, and if somebody just takes his phone, points to this QR code, he will directly jump to this single record page. This, for example, the use case might be that you have a kind of inventory system, and that you have, for example, every record is a kind of item. So, for example, a webcam or a notebook or some cables or I don't know what, and you just print the QR code on the items, and if somebody wants to get more information about this item, then you just use the QR code to jump directly into this single record page. Okay, another improvement we just added to the query page is that now the query page columns can be just resized, and that you can just take up all the complete width of this container. In the past, it was just narrowed down, and you could not change the width of the different columns. So this is just persisted now, and now saved into this page, so that even if you reload, you just get this size. Okay, and let me just check. Width of the output, flexible comments. Okay. Let's go on with the timeline. Here, two things were just introduced. The first one is it's now possible to add a grouping. So let me just first remove it. So here you have the different entries with their different durations. And now I can start adding, for example, a group. So now it's grouped by this column type. So I can just collapse it or expand it. And also, I can display the durations as a swim lane. So if I just activate this, you will see everything is just put together into one line, and everything is just summarized into such a swim lane display mode. So I think this might be quite helpful even for project management, or for anything that is typically used with the timeline. Okay, then probably you just recognize that we have a new icon here on the left for theming. So that means we just moved some of the settings from the settings area into a separate component called icons and theme colors. For sure, there will be added more stuff in here with the next versions. But we just want to make it more clear that this is just a separate area. Another thing that was introduced in 5.1 is the big data management integration. Big data management means now, or in the past, it was only possible to create new rows, and these rows were always created in the normal backend. And now you can say, you can activate it for which table you want that the rows are immediately created and then moved to the big data backend, so that you can define for which table you are using big data or not big data. This is quite an interesting improvement, because now you can just say, I want to rely on which backend. So much for the universal app, and big data is the perfect topic for number 2 of the topics or features I want to introduce, because there were quite a lot of improvements made with the big data backend. So let's just close down the universal app and let's go back to the base editor. And I think what you immediately would recognize if you're working with the big data backend is that we have increased or harmonized the different column options. In the past, the big data backend had some restrictions, and it started by you could not create new columns in the big data backend, or you could not rename or stuff like that. And everything is now harmonized, or most of it is harmonized. That means you really have to search for differences between what is not possible in the normal backend and in the big data backend. One example I can just remember is this so-called customized color type. This is only possible to do in the normal backend. In the big data backend, it's not possible to change the column type. So this is still one restriction, but I think a very minor one. To summarize, there were made a lot of improvements to just harmonize the look and feel, especially the feel of the usage of the big data backend. Another thing is if you have a linked column and you linked entries from big data backend to normal backend. In the past, it was like that if you have opened a big data backend, you can see the links. So if you just, for example, take here this link column, now I'm in a big data view. Do I have a big data entry? Oh yeah, here we have some big data entries. Okay, over here. And these are basically links to entries from the login page, which are not entries that are not stored in the big data backend. In the past, it was possible to see the links over here, and here the links were not visible. And this was quite irritating, I think, because people just activated the big data backend, they moved some data from the normal backend to the big data backend, and then the links just disappeared. And it was like, whoa, where are my data? And we just fixed this by now, if you have a link column that contains links to some linked records, then you have this kind of explanation mark, this attention sign to tell you the linked records to the cell may have been archived. So that means here this is a link to a linked record and to a big data backend entry, and you can click on here and then you get the list of all the entries. So why is it not that we can just show all the links, no matter if it's a link to a big data record or not? This is basically a performance issue that would make it difficult for bigger bases with a lot of entries to keep the performance up and running. And therefore, as soon as you have at least one link to an entry in the big data backend, you will have this explanation mark or the sign here, and you just can click on it and you will see which entries are linked. And there don't has to be an entry. So in here, you don't see there is no linked record for the big data backend. So you have to click on it to get the real information. Okay, another improvement we just added to the big data backend is as soon as you have activated the big data backend and moved or switched to a big data view, you now have the possibility to execute this auto add link function, which is basically a operation that is typically used to link two tables together, for sure. And this was just available here with this so-called data processing functionality, and these data processing functions were not available in the big data backend. Most of these data processing functions does not make sense. To calculate data or something is not necessary for big data. You can just do it in the normal backend. But here, this auto add links, this was quite a requested feature that should be added to the big data, and now it's available. Okay, then what else? The page design now supports entries from the big data backend. So if you want to use some records from the big data backend, the page design is now capable to do that. yeah, I think that was it. Everything about the big data backend. Yeah, let's switch to the third topic, the so-called newly introduced tree plugin. The tree plugin is a plugin that helps you to get a better understanding of linked records that might be just linked over multiple tables. So just imagine, for example, you have the users, and users have a link to their login entries. So for example, over here, and for sure you have to click in here the row details, and then you can click over here to get the details of the row, of this linked row. And what the tree plugin helps you is that you can define up to 3 levels of linked records, and then you can show all the different rows of the other table of the linked records below just your summarize. So therefore we call it tree. And if I now would have defined now a third level, this would require a linked column to another table. Then I can choose here the last level, and then I can even expand to a third level and can have all the different linked columns below each other. And as you might already have seen or expected, you can just change the column width of the different tables. And for sure, you can just click on any entry. It opens the row details. You can here add any kind of value, and it's immediately updated over here. And for sure, you can add here new rows, and it will be depending of the first column type. It will just add a new entry. So that means if you have single select, you can choose between the single select. If you have text, you can just enter text, and then you have the row available. You can click on it, you can edit it, and everything is fine. So this is basically the tree plugin, which gives you a much better visualization of hierarchical data that is spread across up to 3 tables. Okay, I would just say test it out. I think there are quite some use cases where this display might be quite helpful to get a better understanding of your data. Okay. Then at the end of this video, I just want to highlight some more topics or more features we just added. I will quickly go over them. The first one is we added a new function to this column type. Basically, it's let me just turn it. I'm sorry. Sorry, I have to switch here. Now it's better. Edit formula. So we have added a new formula, the so-called row ID, and the row ID just outputs the row ID of this row. This is quite helpful, for example, if you want to send out emails and you just want to link to a specific row, or if you want to use, I don't know, Python, and you have to Python scripts and you want to target a specific row, then in the past it was always quite a hassle to get the row ID. Now you just create a new formula column, just use this new formula row ID, and you're ready to go. Another thing that was quite often requested and that we just implemented is that you now have the possibility to limit or to remove the duplicates of a lookup column. So just imagine this line over here, you have username and password multiple times. And if you now, for example, edit this formula, sorry, not edit formula, then customize column settings. We can ignore this. We don't want to change the column type. So the feature I just want to show you is do not show duplicated items. And if you just activate this and submit, you will see duplicated entries of this lookup will just merged or removed. You have to be a little bit to be careful a little bit, because typically in the past, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entries in the link columns, you would have you see 5 entries in the lookup column. Now you have a different display because you have multiple links here and only one value over here. So keep in mind this might be the consequence or the logical consequence of this do not show duplicated items. Okay, then we for sure we did a lot of improvements to the Python runner. We added 2 new packages for manipulating PDF files, so it's now possible to merge different PDF files together into one file, or to manipulate some image types from Apple phones, so these heic format. This is now supported by the Python runner. Also, we improved quite a lot the migration script that we provide to migrate data from Airtable to SeaTable. Now it's really, quite a piece of cake to take over some existing bases or tables from Airtable to SeaTable. Yeah, and there's so many other stuff. We improved the table relationship. We added more of the column relationships into the table relationship. So yeah, there's so many stuff. So if you're interested, I would say, have a look at the SeaTable release notes for the version 5.1. You just find it in the SeaTable blog, or look into a forum where the people are discussing the new features and giving feedback. Or just look at the changelog on our website, SeaTable.io, to get the full picture of all the different changes we did. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please write your feedback, just, I would say, in the comments below this video. And if you liked it, just give me a thumbs up. And I would just wish you a great weekend, wish you a lot of success and fun playing around with SeaTable. And see you soon. Bye, guys.